to mention, don't forget the All Black National Convention is just a few weeks away. What's this, the 7th? So we got less than 6 weeks. So if you want to join us, if you'd like to be in a room, in a big room, it's a massive hotel. We're doing a hotel takeover for the intelligent Black people all around the world. Join us by going to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. And basically, whatever your interest is, financially, or in terms of family, or in terms of mental and physical health, or anything else, our goal is to bring together the smartest Black people in the world to solve our problems and to do it in a way that's pro-Black, independent. We don't care about, we're not worried about Trump and DEI and what they're doing and all that. We're not that we don't care. I do care, but those things don't stop us. We're not a DEI based organization. We are just a Black organization. We don't live off corporate sponsorship. We don't live off government money. We are fueled by the Black community, 100% Black owned, 100% Black operated. And our primary focus, our starting point is the African American community. That is our tip top priority. It doesn't mean we don't love everyone around the world. In fact, we have people wired in from all around the globe. But for the most part, we started our mission with one big goal of fixing the Black family, helping Black folks with our mental and physical health, and building our wealth. And it's working. We're getting it done. We got the best scientists on the planet. So we're gathering in Atlanta the week of August 21st to the 23rd. And it's going to be really, really lit. It's our 10th anniversary. So we've been doing this 10 years, fully funded by us, for us, by us. That's it. And, there's no secret Jewish man in the back paying for everything. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing. It's not built around anybody's ideas other than our own. And we got a track record to prove it. And also, the National Business League is celebrating their 125th anniversary. Now, they've been around for a minute. Dr. Ken Harris, one of the great leaders of this country, runs that organization. He has a doctorate in economics and Africana studies. And I vetted him myself because there's a lot of fake people out here that don't really, in my view, truly understand even what Black liberation looks like, nor are they willing to sacrifice for it, nor are they prepared to pursue it. And I feel like what the National Business League has going on is pretty powerful. And in fact, if you want to know the organizations I respect the most in terms of actually getting things done, I look for results. I don't want to hear speeches that make you jump up and down. I don't necessarily care if you are going to help me get into heaven or not. You can do that in church. I don't care if you get a certain person elected per se, unless that person's really going to make a difference. I want to see results. I look at the family. I look at the individuals in our community. I look around and I say, okay, this person is somebody that's in your constituency. These are the people you're claiming to help. Question one, does that person have more wealth in their family as a result of their affiliation with you than they had before they met you? Don't tell me they're feeling good and they went to a great concert and you gave them a great rap album, or you gave them a great speech, or you got them to vote for a certain politician. No, I don't want to hear all that. I want to hear, does that person have more wealth in their family? Are they more likely to pass generational wealth on to their children because they know you? Are they more financially secure because they know you? Do they feel safer in this world that doesn't really have a lot of love for Black people because they're affiliated with you, or is it all just psychological, right? Do they have more income? Is their income higher? Things like that. Then the second thing I might ask is, tell me about their mental health. Do they feel? Are they more balanced, and do they feel has the trauma gone down, or are we just sitting around complaining about problems, or are they actually fixing problems? Are they improving their lives? Can they say that their life is better now because they know you than it was before they met you? And also their relationships, are they having better relationships? Are they more likely to stay married? Are they more likely to have good relationships with their children? Are they more likely to form a family business with their kids? Are they more likely to repair damage with siblings? Are they more likely to break generational curses? Tell me, just show me evidence, show me evidence. Also, physical health. Maybe are they leaning more toward physical health now as a result? Are they exercising more and staying out of the hospital and avoiding all the Negro diseases? The cancers, the diabetes, the strokes, the heart disease, and the alcoholism, the drugs, all these things that they dump on us to destroy us. That doesn't just destroy our wealth; it destroys so much more of who we are. That's the measuring stick for me. And so, a couple of organizations I really just love and respect that are really getting the job done. One is The National Business League with Dr. Ken Harris, and that's who we're partnering with at the convention. There will be thousands and thousands and thousands of people just like you. You're not alone. You don't have to do it by yourself. Don't do it all by yourself. And that's a trauma response, by the way. I don't know if y'all know that, but that whole like I can do this all by myself, or I don't need my kids don't need their dad. I got them. I'm gonna do it all by myself, or I don't need no black woman. I don't need nobody. I can do. That's all a trauma response. In case you didn't know that, that's what traumatized people do because we've been abandoned, we've been hurt so often. My wife taught me that who's actually in here right now. Oh, I already got coffee, baby. But thank you. But is that water mine? Thank you, my love. I appreciate that. She bought me water because she loves me. All right. So anyway, so with that said, I don't want you doing it all by yourself. I want you to know you got a clique, you got a crew, you got a posse, you got a gang. And, I want you to get gang affiliated. I want you to join the family. So the All Black National Convention is basically a big family reunion. Everybody that you meet there is a play cousin. Everybody you meet there has already been introduced to these ideas. I don't market this widely and broadly. I don't do radio station ads to get any and every black person anywhere to come in. I want to interact with people that are prepared, that are trained, that have a certain level of commitment, certain level of willingness to sacrifice, certain skill set, also a certain willingness to take action in your life, right? In order for your life to get better, you got to take action. If you don't take action, then nothing's going to happen. You can't wait for white folks to take action. You can't wait for politicians to take action. They don't give a damn. You can't wait for so and so, this other person over here to take action. You take action. You take action. You take action. You take action. So everybody type the word action in the room so that we know what we all about. So if you all about action, join us in Atlanta. It's going to be August 21st to the 23rd. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. All right. So one thing I wanted to talk about today has to do with this study I saw that basically says, let me first of all ask you, how many of y'all got kids? Anybody got kids under like 20, under 20 years old? Anybody got kids under 20? How many of you have children under 20 right now? Or grandkids? If you don't have kids, then throw it up for your grandkids. All right, because I need you to go and I need you to talk to them, go far and wide. This weekend we were talking a lot about the Essence Fest and kind of just sort of breaking that down. But now we're going to talk about your kids and grandkids. Okay, all right. And if you ain't got kids or grandkids, that's okay. Nieces, nephews, mentees. Remember, you don't have to have a child in order to be a parent. Can we agree on that? In the black community, in our community, they always say it takes a village to raise a child. Some of these children are born with no village. Some of these children ain't got nobody. They don't have a good mama. They don't have a good daddy. They don't have good leaders, good mentors, role models. So in my view, whenever a child runs across my path and they need something, they need me to drop a little Dr. Boyce on them that's gonna, power boost them into whatever greatness they're supposed to have. I feel I don't just do it because it's the right thing to do. I do it because it's my job. I don't just do it because it feels good. I do it because I'm supposed to do it. I don't do it. It's not volunteer work. This is not charity. It is literally a mission that I know God wants me to pursue. And it's an opportunity. It's such an opportunity. You have so many children in your community who are talented and extraordinary, and you got to grab them before the devil does. If you don't get your hands on them, the devil gonna grab them, and they're gonna turn into a thug. They're gonna turn into a hoochie mama. They're gonna turn into some little wannabe white, corporate executive who's kissing asses to get ahead and screwing over everybody. They're gonna turn into something other than an asset, right? So every child is an opportunity. Every child is a chance to invest, and I really encourage you to think that way. So I love fatherhood. I love being a dad. Every time I get to be a dad for even 10 minutes with a kid, my goal is to be dad of the year because to me ain't no greater honor in the black community other than being a mother or a father. So anyway, so back to the children. So here's the deal. There is how many of you have seen, let me know if you've seen this. There is a lot of growing statistical evidence at this particular moment that college graduates are screwed in this job market. How many of you have seen this evidence and we've been talking about this for about 2 years now, ever since ChatGPT jumped on the scene. AI is all the rage. AI is everywhere, and AI is replacing jobs. And I'm going to read you some stats to help you understand this is happening. And of course, we're solution oriented, so we'll talk about that as well. But basically, because of AI, a lot of young college grads are not getting hired, especially for entry level jobs. There's an article in the Washington Post that I'm gonna try to see if I can pull it up so I can share my screen so you guys can see it. And hold on. Okay. All right. Okay, boys, we're gonna share this screen and we're gonna do it right. Okay. All right. So here is the article. I'm going to put up on the screen so you guys can see it. We'll look at some of it, and then I'm going to give you some stats to kind of back this up. And of course, I hope none of you were surprised by any of this. This is a long time coming. So it says here, facing entry-level job crunch, new grads question the value of a degree. So basically, they always start these articles by telling someone's story. So they start off with Maggie Chen. Of course, they ain't talking about Shaniqua Jackson. They're talking about Maggie Chen. And then, now, if Maggie Chen can't get a job, then you know Shaniqua ain't gonna get the job. You know Tyrone ain't gonna get the job. So Maggie Chen's been searching for her first real job. The process has been grueling and impersonal. She said, involving a lot of ghosting and rejection, which at times made her feel a bit depressed and demotivated. I'm gonna highlight this right here, right? So what you know where they're getting at, right? The title tells you where they're going. They always start off with a story and then they introduce the broader trend. But I want you to focus on this part right here. A bit depressed and demotivated. See, one of the problems with this generation, with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, is for whatever reason, and I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if it's the food, I don't know if it's the politics, I don't know if it's just the pandemic, but they're really struggling with mental health. They're really struggling. Has anybody noticed this? Has anybody noticed there's something like they're just not built like us? I was born in the 70s. I'm Gen X, I think. Yeah, Gen X. And we knew didn't nobody give a damn about you. Like we were tough. We did really drink straight off the water hose and come in when the street lights went out, and we were latchkey kids. And some of us got our ass whooped when we got in trouble, right? And so we have a type of resilience that they don't really have. And so I would encourage you to check on the mental health of any young person in your family because they're also growing up in this really fragile era of social media where cyberbullying and stuff like that can take a huge emotional toll. Most of them are already addicted to their phones, and then on top of that, the economy has changed. They don't have the same opportunities that we had. There was a time, when you could go to school, get a good job, and be secure as long as you didn't do anything crazy like go to jail or whatever. They're coming into a different world. So what happens is, and this is why my wife, I'm so happy I married a beautiful black woman who has an expertise in therapy. Is We created the Black Financial Therapy Department in the Black Business School because there's a deep connection between your economic outcomes and your emotional well-being. So that those words depressed and demotivated really made me think a lot about our community where anxiety and depression is very, very high. Anxiety and depression is high largely due to a lot of it is related to economics. A lot of our relationship breakdowns are related to economics. So financial security and stability isn't just about the money. It's really about a higher quality of life. It's about waking up and feeling good about your day because you have a sense of purpose and you're going to make some money doing it. So already she's feeling a bit depressed and demotivated because it does suck to go out there and you worked hard. She Her name is Maggie Chen, so I'm assuming she made good grades, but I'm stereotyping. Y'all know but I'm sorry. I have a friend that's from China, and you know what he told me? I kid you not. Such a stereotype. Stop it, boys, but I gotta share this anyway. He literally told me that his parents were disappointed in him. I said, "Why were your parents disappointed in you?" He said, "Because I went to USC." I said, "What are you talking about? USC is a great school. Has anybody ever seen USC? It's like heaven on earth. It's the most beautiful place ever." And he said, "Yeah, because they wanted me to go to Yale or Harvard or Stanford, so they considered USC to be a disappointment." That's how some of those folks roll. That's why economics and success is culture. So build a culture of success. So anyway. So it says here, mostly she said, looking on LinkedIn makes me feel sad. She switched to computer science. See, I told you I was stereotyping, but look, watch this. She said, says Chen, who switched to computer science from biochemistry halfway through her undergraduate studies at UCal Davis after she got into computers early in the pandemic. Tech appealed to her because it seems like a stable and full of opportunity, and because she wanted to be done with school after completing her bachelor's degree. For Chen, she was a first generation college student. Okay. The guilt of being dependent on her parents after graduation has been very awful, despite how supportive they are. They encourage her to follow in the footsteps of friends who are pursuing more advanced degrees to better their chances on the job market, but she is wary about spending more time and money on school. So a lot of times, like that first default response when the degree you have doesn't give you the job you want is to go get another degree and assume that will get you a better job. I'm not going to say that doesn't work anymore because I still would need to look at the data. I can tell you that's a natural reaction. A lot of folks do that. I don't know if that's going to work in this economy so much. I'm not saying that it's not going to work. I'm just saying that right now, with AI being so new and different, nobody knows what's going to work. Nobody knows what direction this economy is really going to go. People can guess, but they don't know. All right, so here, this says Chen is among the growing number of graduates facing a bumpy transition to professional life as they contend with one of the toughest job markets in years for people in their 20s. The unemployment rate for college grads aged 22 to 27 jumped to 5.3% in the past 6 months, ending in May, up from 4.4% for the same period a year earlier, according to what the Washington Post. Let's see here. College graduates at that age group usually have a lower unemployment rate than workers without degrees, but their advantage now is as small as it's been at any point since 1994. So what does that mean? That means that the unemployment rate, the gap between college grads and non-college grads, it has shrank. So there are people that have no degree that are doing as well as people that have a degree, at least when it comes to employment rate. Now, I don't think they're doing as well when it comes to income. So remember, income matters as well. But in terms of probability of getting a job, it seems to me that this educational gap that we're aiming for doesn't exist like it used to. I don't think that this means that college education is a bad thing. I don't think it means that going to school is for suckers. I think it means that going to school is something that has to be done strategically in order for it to work. Again, I'm a college professor. I'm all about college. I love college. We're sending one of ours to Tuskegee this year, and I'm happy to do that. And so don't think I'm ever going to tell you that college is a bad thing. It's really the strategic use of education that matters. And it's also knowing that there's a difference between being educated and just going to school, right? There are a lot of people who go to school who are not educated at all. Also, there's a difference between education and knowledge, difference between knowledge and wisdom. Going to school means you went into some building somewhere, you sat in some classes, and you took notes and you passed the test. That doesn't mean you were educated. I know a lot of people who have a lot of degrees who are not educated at all. To be honest with you, they went to school a long time, didn't really learn a whole lot. Education, in my view, means you actually learned something, and more importantly, it means you picked up relevant skills that are going to help you to achieve a goal. Education should not be done looking forward. You do it looking backward. You start at the end, you look backward. They call that dynamic optimization in mathematics. Dynamic optimization means I say, what is it that I'm trying to become? What do I need? What do I want to learn how to do? And then I figure out what training is going to get me to where I need to be. Right. And the thing about education is you can get that anywhere. You don't need to be in a building to get that. And then knowledge, it goes deeper than just education. A lot of people get a lot of education. They're good at what they do, but their knowledge in terms of understanding how the world works, it still has to evolve. Knowledge, I think, tends to come with critical thinking skill, and it comes with some experience, perhaps, which really takes you to the pinnacle, which is really wisdom, right? Wisdom, when you have wisdom and knowledge, and then education, and then you went to school for a while, that's really an ideal combination, in my opinion. So education is not dead, but AI makes it complicated. Now, one thing that I've mentioned repeatedly in terms of ways to prepare for this new economy is I've talked about investing in AI related stocks. If you haven't picked up that list of AI stocks yet, all you got to do is text the word stock on your phone to the phone number 87948. So somebody type 87948 in the chat and text the word stock, and I'll send you that list and you can take a look at those stocks. I invest consistently in AI related companies because AI is really going to absolutely dominate. I studied a lot. There's a lot happening here. We're developing an AI curriculum in the Black Business School. I'll let you guys know about it when it's ready. It'll be ready very, very soon. Um, the other piece to that too is when you're talking to young people about what education really looks like and what knowledge looks like, what and just all that, like how the knowledge, skill, education, all these things, have that conversation with them, right? College is something that can be on the table, but college, if it's done expensively, that's one area where we've done it wrong. Millions and millions, Black women have the highest level of education of any group of people in the country, but also the misstep there is that Black women also have the highest student loan debt of any group in the country. And so education that comes with insurmountable student loans is not necessarily beneficial if it's off balance. So if all you're doing is taking on a bunch of debt, assuming that having the next degree justifies any debt level that you take on, then you could end up choking yourself on the debt. Like you could end up in a situation where you're not making enough money to pay the debt back, which in the world of business, that is just a bad business investment. That's a bad decision. Okay. So the debt level, the other thing too, and we talked about this weekend a little bit with stuff going on with the Essence Fest and everything else. If you're too wired into corporate America, too wired into certain systems, too wired into government jobs or DEI related sorts of opportunities, well, then you're heavily dependent upon the goodwill of white folks for you to be able to pay your bills. So that means that if you are like the worst position in the world to be in my opinion, would be, say, a black person with an advanced degree who's got a really high paying DEI job and they're living paycheck to paycheck. And let's say they're single. The reason I say that's a highly risky position to be in is for the following. Number one, you're single, which means you don't have another stream of income. It's just you. So if you can't earn, then you're kind of done. You're kind of cooked, right? It's going to be difficult for you. Number two, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that means you don't have any savings or investments or other streams of income to back you up. So that means if your job ever disappears, you're kind of cooked. Three, many of my friends that I know that have the advanced degrees don't understand that education isn't the school system isn't just about education. It's really an indoctrination process. It's indoctrinating you to have a specific set of skills that prepares you to do one thing. And in many cases, that one thing is to work for some corporation run by some members of the white community. That's what universities exist for. It's to train. That's what a lot of HBCUs came into existence for. As they said, we're capitalists. We need people in our factories. We need people to run our offices. We need people to run these companies that we're building. So let's train these people so that they can come and work for us. And so while it is certainly a boost to our ego when we get that degree and everybody wants to hire us, you have to really look at the darker side of that, which means that number one, the people that have the ability to feed you also have the ability to starve you. Number two, it means that your skill set has been, in many cases, so specifically designed that if they don't want you, you can go nowhere else. You have no other outlets. You have no other ways to make money. You have no options, right? You guys know I teach stock options. It's a great thing to learn. And one thing I tell you about options is that options are good. When you have options, you're better off. When you have no options, you're in trouble. So what happens with a lot of educated black folks that I know is they'll get the good job, making the good money, and then what also happens is financial addiction kicks in. So addiction is where you become normalized. Like you need to make 100,000, 80,000 a year to feel normal, right? That's a normal life for you now. And then suddenly when that's taken away, you go through these withdrawal symptoms because you don't have any options, you don't have anywhere else to go. You don't have a bunch of investments you can lean on. You don't have a partner who's also making money. You don't have savings in the bank that you can lean toward. You don't have multiple streams of income. You don't have different ways to go out and make money. So options are really critical. And what I believe happens that's very sinister with capitalism is the goal is to train you to be as dependent on the system as you could possibly be. It's like we've got this system. We want to integrate you black people into it because we need you. You are fuel for our rocket, and our goal is to make sure that you feel safe connecting yourself to this economic umbilical cord. And so, but we don't tell you that if we cut that cord, you're going to die. You're going to economically die. And so I'm not against the idea of being integrated into the system. What I am against is the idea that the first thing we do is we teach our child to make money by getting a job. And I think the best way to teach your child to make money, the first thing they should learn is how to be an investor. Because if I teach my child to make money with a job, I'm teaching him one simple thing. I'm teaching him that, son, the harder you work, the more money you'll make. But if I teach my son to be an investor, I'm teaching him a different rule. I'm saying, well, son, the harder they work, the more money you make. Do you understand the difference? How many of y'all caught that? Did you catch that? If all he knows how to do is get a job, then he knows that he makes money if he works. But if he's an investor, then he knows he makes money if other people are working. And that sucks. I mean, that's the game. I didn't make the game up. I'm just telling y'all how it works. So don't this is not the Boyce didn't make these rules. Capitalism made these rules. The world made these rules. America made these rules. I didn't make them. I'm just explaining it to you, right? So if I'm explaining to my child how to make money, I'm not starting with labor. Labor requires time. Labor is a mental stressor. Labor takes you away from your children. Labor can take you away from your purpose. Labor can steal things away from you that money cannot buy. Uh, we're not starting with labor. Labor is important, sure. Everybody does labor. We all have to work for something. But I'd rather you start off as an investor and let other people do the labor. If they want to go to work every day, let them go to work. Great. I'm glad you go to work every day at FedEx because that makes my stock price go up. And so when you work hard when they're going to compensate you, whoever's running the company, the managers that are running the company, they're going to pay you well. Um, but then the stock price goes up, and then I get paid as the stock price goes up. And this is why the stock market is the number one driver of wealth in America. This is one of the reasons why I've consistently impressed upon you the importance of not just investing in the market, but investing aggressively in the market. You should spend like you're poor, invest like you're rich. Spend like you're poor, invest like you're rich. When it comes to throwing money away, spending money on silly things, you broke. I ain't got it. I'm sorry. Your cousin want to hold $20. I ain't got $20, right? But when you invest, then I want you to be Daddy Warbucks. I want you to be Warren Buffett. I want you to be the most aggressive investor out there because every study out there shows that people who are assertive and aggressive investors, thank you, baby, assertive and aggressive investors tend to have the highest economic yield. But you've known this. This is nothing new. I'm not telling you anything that's a secret. How do I know this? Well, because you've always known that if you don't plant seeds, you won't get a harvest. If you don't prepare in advance, then you won't have anything later on. If you don't sacrifice something, you'll have nothing later. Every person that is an Olympic champion could tell you how they practice for 10,000 hours to become an Olympic champion. Every person who is a millionaire can tell you how much sacrifice they had to make to reach that millionaire status. Most people that have accomplished anything great, any mother or father who has a 25 or 30-year-old child who's won some award for great achievements can tell you how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours they spent training and rearing that child, right? You look at Beyonce on stage and doing amazing things. Well, when I look at Beyonce doing amazing things with her amazing kids, I see Tina and her father Matthew and how many times they probably sacrificed taking her to dance class and then dropping her off at singing what was singing practice and then dropping her off at rehearsal for the play that she's going to be in, right? And a lot of y'all parents know that, right? Because we got a little Beyonce in our house, and it's a sacrifice. It's like who's going to pick Taylor up? Oh, she's got another practice, another rehearsal. I'm in Florida right now, literally because dance nationals are in Florida, right? I don't even like dance that much. But when she's on the stage, I become the biggest dance fan that there ever was because that's my job. So we're investing, we pour into that, and I tell her, I say, keep working hard because one day you will reap everything that you're sowing, every sacrifice you're making, every time you've been very consistent. I said, I know where great people come from, and I watch you every day, and you operate like a great person. You're putting the inputs in that a great person does, and so one day you're going to be great. You're going to be extraordinary. And so, long story short, what I would say to you is the same thing is true with your wealth. If you're investing consistently, you're going to be extraordinarily well off financially. If you are making the right decisions economically, you're going to be in an extraordinarily good position. It just may take some time. If you are breaking those generational curses and doing the work required to improve your economic condition, I applaud you because not only will you do well, but other people will benefit from all the sacrifices that you're making. And in fact, that reminds me of something that I saw, but on Instagram, and I'm not going to go into it too much because I don't want to stray away from our main topic. But literally, there was this guy who was talking about one guy like 150 years ago. They traced his lineage, and he was a guy that had like 10 babies, mamas, and 15 kids or something, and he just had kids everywhere, and he was a criminal. And they said from this one guy's lineage, they traced like 30 murderers, 20 convicts, like all these people that had done these terrible things, right? And then they went to another person who was like this hardworking guy who had a wife with and they had like 10 kids and took good care of them. And from this other guy, they literally traced like 25 college professors, two Nobel Prize winners, 10 CEOs. Like it was so crazy how this lineage came from these two guys who made different life choices. And he said so the point that he was making was he said that your actions and your choices don't just have an effect on your life, they have what is called a ripple effect. And they affect the lives of the people that you affect and then the people that they affect, right? If I raise a child a certain way, that child's going to raise a child, and then that child's going to raise a child, and all these other things, right? So the ripple effects are critically important to understand when you're making your sacrifice. You're not just sacrificing for you, you're sacrificing for others. So when you talk about even wealth, when an athlete spends $20 million and goes broke, he's not just spending his money. He's actually caused a bankruptcy that's going to ripple through generations. Now he's got some great grandchild who is going to have to go to work every day in a factory without even knowing that his great great grandfather blew the bag. That 100 years ago he had some descendant that was sitting on $20 million and decided to spend the money at the strip club instead of putting the money into a 401k or putting the money into shares of stock or making strategic, intelligent economic decisions. So make those good decisions so they end up with as good outcomes for other people. Now, speaking of that, one thing I wanted to mention is I want to play a little game. Um, that I don't know, maybe I'm in the mood for games because I was watching Squid Games, which is a really horrifically disturbing show, by the way, if y'all haven't seen it. But anyway, one day we'll talk about Squid Games because Squid Games it's all about money actually. All those people basically Squid Games, in case you don't know it, it's a game where people are playing like all these like games where literally you can die, and the reason they're playing these really high risk death games is because they're all in debt. So and the way they get them to keep playing these crazy games is they'll put the money in front of them, and whenever they would show them the money, they would make those casino noises, to trigger the Pavlovian response. They call it Pavlov's dog. In case you don't know it, there's a psychologist. I think his name was Pavlov, and he trained a dog to salivate every time he heard a bell by associating the bell with food. So casinos do a Pavlovian response. They'll have a lot ding 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 ding. Anybody notice that when you walk in, you just constantly hear these noises, and what they're doing is they're triggering people's gambling addictions to get them to keep pouring more money on the table. That's another reason why casinos give you lots of free liquor. That's why they don't have windows. That's why they put extra oxygen in the room and they don't have clocks because they want you to come in there like a crackhead. They want you to lose track of time. They want you to not know if it's nighttime or daytime. They don't want anything that's going to take you out of your spell because their goal is to get you to gamble as much as possible. So Squid Games does that a lot. So one day we'll have a whole deep dive into Squid Games because what it speaks to is how you have those who have higher levels of economic consciousness. These would be wealthy individuals. This is what I want you to be. I want you to have high economic consciousness so you can kind of look down on what's happening in the world and understand it. It's not that you're better than other people. I'm not saying that. This is not about elitism. It's about making yourself as elite as you can be in terms of focus, work ethic, sacrifice, and outcome, right? So when you become wealthy, and believe me, when you become wealthy, it doesn't matter. People are still going to see you as elite, even if you don't see yourself that way. Then you'll be able to see things. You'll notice things. You probably have already gone through that. Anybody gone through that? Like since we've talked about these things, I bet some of you have looked around and looked at some of your relatives, some of your friends, and said, "Man, this is oh wow, okay, look at that commercial. Look at how they're doing." Right? This is the benefit of I mean, that's when my doctorate's in finance. That's all I do, right? So this is what happens, right? So long story short, what I would say to you is when you talk about like that show Squid Games, the financial consciousness part of it, there's a lot of it is if you notice in the game, well, you've got these people that are in debt, that are in this financial slavery, killing each other to get these little peanuts, this money that they dangle in front of them like animals. You've got these elite people, they call them the VIPs, that are sitting up in above them, watching the games happen, and they're watching the games as entertainment. And this is really capitalism in a nutshell. You've got your elites that have all the money and they're the puppet masters, and everyone else becomes their goal is to make you the puppet. Their money becomes the string. So they're like, okay, well, I don't really want you to be over here. I want you to be over there. So I'm gonna move you like a chess piece. All I got to do is give him an incentive to move over here. So what do I do? I could punish him by being over there, or I could reward him. I could say, here's another $10,000 if you go over here. And you're like, okay, I'll do it, right? So think about that, right? You have a job, you're making $60,000 a year, you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're barely getting by, and then suddenly your boss says, well, you can get another $10,000 a year if you move to California. Well, a lot of people won't move to California, and it becomes a one-dimensional decision, right? It's like, well, why'd you go to California? Well, because I got a better opportunity, making more money, and what else? That's it. I moved. That was the that was the decision, right? So I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do. I'm saying that decisions should actually be done in what they call a multivariate sort of way, meaning you should have multiple variables that affect your decisions because that way you can optimize your life better. You should be able to name 8 things that made you move to California, not just one. It shouldn't just be like, well, they gave me an extra $10,000. If you train your kids on how to make $10,000 without having to uproot their family or sell their soul, then they're going to have options, which is going to lead to better choices. Even in the Diddy conversation, a lot of people did disgusting, nasty, horrible, criminal things with Diddy that left them traumatized. STDs, I'm sure, are everywhere. You can't tell me that some of those people that went to those parties are not HIV positive. I bet you a lot of them are HIV positive. And so you done did all this stuff because you're trying to make some money. Well, my solution to that would be I'm the guy again because I'm the consummate father, So when I see like a young girl going into a bad situation, I'm like, "Where's your dad at? Did your dad tell you? Your daddy should have showed you how to make 10 ways to make money, not by just sleeping with this nasty son of a bitch over here, and then not and the mothers too, right? Mamas are smart too, so I'm not discounting that, but really, it's like teach your kids multiple ways to make money so they don't have to do that one thing that they don't want to do, right? That's what happens. People that don't know all the different ways there are to make money in the richest economy on the freaking planet, you ain't gonna go nowhere else and get a better deal than you get in America when it comes to money. I'm sorry. I hate saying it to you like that. I'm not saying America's perfect. America is not perfect, but America's got the money. Take your 80, some of y'all, how many make more than 70,000 a year? Give me a guess if you make more than anybody make, or let's make it 60. Anybody make more than 60? How many makes more than 60,000 a year? Just put a yes in the chat or something like that if you're in the category. If you don't, that's all right. We're gonna work with you. We're gonna get you there. We're gonna get you six figures and beyond. Okay. All right. Did you know I'm gonna drink some coffee and clear my throat before I share this with you? Tim, did you know that if you make $60,000 a year, you're in the top 1% of all earners on the planet? Did y'all know that? How wild is that? If you make 60,000 a year, you are the 1% compared to the rest of the world. So so you're like, I hate America. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go. A lot of places you go and you're like, well, I want to make the same thing I made in the US. They're gonna be like, sorry, we don't pay you. We don't pay like that here. I'm not saying you can't do it. And I'm not saying the US is a great place to live. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that the United States in all of its debauchery and all of its chaos and ridiculousness in terms of how we do things, the one benefit is that America's just good at making money. Americans in general, that this country, right? And so a lot of countries can't compete with the United States when it comes to the strength of the American economic engine. And the strength of that engine actually comes from the fact that Americans are incredibly productive. Americans are if you go to Europe, a lot of I just got back from Greece. People in Greece, a lot of the folks in Greece, not to say they don't work hard, but they're different. A lot of people in Greece, they do a lot more chilling than we do here. That they'll sit down and eat dinner, and it'll be like a 4 hour dinner. And I'll be sitting there thinking, I ain't got time for no 4 hour dinner. I can sit down with you for 45 minutes or an hour, but I got to get back to work, right? Because I'm the crazy American, right? Or if they have a conversation, or or I'm going to Ghana next week, same thing. And when I go to Ghana, I have to rewire my brain for patience. I went to eat at a Ghanaian restaurant one time, and we got there at 6:30 p.m. and we ordered our food in advance because we thought that might speed up the process. I kid you not, I'm not making this up. I got my food at 12:30, like after midnight. We literally got there at 6:30. I got my food 6 hours later. I'd never seen that. Now, this is not typical. This is not every Ghanaian restaurant. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that I'd been there for a while and I'd already gotten used to the fact. I said, okay, so the concept of time is very different here. People actually live in their lives, and I'm not used to that. Like, what does that mean to actually sit? You mean like smell the roses? Ain't no roses to smell. We got work to do, right? But that was the American in me, right? Now, mind you, again, this restaurant took longer than the others, but that was typical. I saw that a lot. And so basically, one benefit of being American is that we are damn productive. And I think that's a good thing if you balance it right. Right. But the key idea though is you got to make sure you don't become too American because Americans also are on the lowest rung of the world as it pertains to things like mental health, physical health. All this food's giving you cancer and killing you. We're the lowest rungs when it comes to family structure, keeping families together. When I went to Greece, family is very important here. Family is like, yeah, I can do it all by myself. I don't need nobody, right? Whatever, right? And so ultimately, I think that that balance is really what you're aiming for. But I don't think that means you throw your productivity out the window. I'm proud that I'm productive. I'm proud that I worked hard and sacrificed for things. That makes me feel good, and I'm not apologizing for that. But just I think exposing yourself to the rest of the world gives you a chance to see how the other half lives, how everybody else is living too, so you can find the balance that's really going to work for you. All right, so everybody should have a passport. I hope if you don't have a passport, please get one. Everybody in here needs to commit to getting a passport and making sure your kids have one. Take them overseas. If you can buy them a flight to Detroit, you can get them a flight to Africa. It's not that much difference, just a little more time on the airplane. So get you a passport, travel the world, see the world. All right. So one of the things I wanted to do, since I'm in the mood for games, is I wanted to see, I want to keep track of how much money we're all investing, right? And so here's how the game's going to work. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a link to a what is called the BBS Stock Market Accumulation Form. And here's how it works. It's very simple. I don't want you to put your actual name on this form. So this is completely anonymous, but I want to know how much money you have invested in the stock market to this point. Like I want you to add up every penny you have in, if you have in your 401k, if you have it in your Robinhood account, you have in your Acorns, even counting your crypto. And the reason we want to measure this is because I want to be able to go and brag. I want to be able to go. I already know, for example, from a previous survey that over 90% of you are stock market investors. That makes me very excited because the research shows that wealthy people have a higher stock market participation rate. They participate in the stock market more. So the fact that 90% of you are invested in the market means you're doing better than white people. I'm not trying to be equal to white people. I told you equality is not of interest to me because they can't be equal to us because we're the best. B1 people are extraordinary. We're the canaries in the mines. We're the leaders. We're the tops. We're the kings of this. Nobody keeps up with us. So you're already doing that. Now I want to be able to give a number. And so maybe every 2 or 3 months, I'm going to take this number again and I want to see that if we can make this number go up. Does that make sense? Let me know if it makes sense. So what you do is when you fill out the form, don't put your name, make up a name. Give yourself a nickname like the Flying Chicken or Big Money Bob or the Miller family, Miller family millionaires, whatever name you want to come up with, right? And put that in there. Just all I ask is that you keep the same nickname, right? So when you fill it out again, keep the same nickname. So pick your name, pick it carefully, and put it. And so it's going to be two things: your name and a number. So add up your number, and it could be a rough estimate, right? So if you think it's 25,000, but it might be 26, that's okay. Pick whatever number works, right? And just be honest though. And then what I'm going to do is compile that number, add it up, and I will let you all know in this class the total amount of money, the total amount of generational wealth that is being produced in this space. Give me a yes if that makes sense. Does everybody understand the assignment? Does this make sense? Because I'm about to pass the link in the chat, and I would like for everyone to fill out that form really quickly, and I'll continue with our class. But I would like for everybody to fill that. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So I'm putting this link in the chat right now, and then I would like for you to, if you could, very quickly just go in. It takes like literally 20 seconds to fill it out. So there's the link. I'm putting it in there. So click on it and let me put it in here. There we go. All right, and it's called a Woofu form. The company's called Woofu. And also, if you're new to stock market investing and you want to get good at it, my dissertation was written on the stock market, so I'd love to support you in that. You can join us for Stock Market Tuesdays. Just go to drboycestockmarket.com. That's drboycestockmarket.com, and we can get you started and get you right where you want to get to. Also, if you want to join us at the convention this year, the All Black National Convention, you can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Does this number include the tithe and offering? No, no, just the investment that you have in stocks, or you can include crypto if you want to. Don't include something like things like real estate. Um, we'll leave that off for now. But yeah, just whatever you have invested in the stock market, like your total number. Like I'm gonna put let me see here. My nickname is gonna be Big Money Boyce, and I'm gonna put my number in here. And now here's the thing. I don't. Well, you know what, guys, I don't really want to. Yeah, I don't like the internet flex. and everybody knows I'm Big Money Boyce now. So I got to put a new nickname because I can't ever because I want everybody to be anonymous. So I should really be anonymous because I'm telling you, you don't want to go, you don't ever want to be on the internet telling people how much money you have. It just draws a lot of unfair attention and nah, I'm not a flexer. So I'm gonna put my nickname in there and I'm gonna put my number in right now. All right. And then I'm gonna hit submit and then okay, and then it should be done. Oh, wait, hold on. It says there's a problem with your submission. Is that form not working or is it being overloaded? Okay, it did work. It just if it gives you a problem, just hit it again. Click it again. I think what happened is I just mobbed the platform. So if it doesn't work, just click it again. All right. Okay, and try to reload it. And if it doesn't work now, then what I'm also do is I'll text it out to you guys. Make sure you're on the text list for this class. Just text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. Okay, so let me give you a few more stats on this college student issue. And it's something I encourage you to talk to your kids about because what you don't want them to do when they go to college for sure is you don't want them to think that someone's going to hire you just because you have a degree. That wasn't true even before AI, and it's definitely not true after AI. Nobody's going to hire you just because you have a piece of paper. I hire lots of people. I hired a couple of people yesterday for some stuff we wanted to do, and in no scenario do I ever ask people if they went to college or not because I don't care. I want to know, do you know how to do the job? And so I would encourage you to make sure your kids understand that part too. Skill matters more than credentials most of the time in many cases. Not to say not to say credentials don't matter at all, especially when you talk about something that requires a license, like becoming a nurse or an accountant. But for the most part, a lot of business owners they don't care if you went to Yale or Stanford. They want to know, can you do the job? And in fact, sometimes having that extra piece of paper can be a burden because they know you're going to demand more money because you got this piece of paper or because you went to a certain school. And who you know, that does matter as well, Grace, for sure. This is why networking matters. So this is another argument to go to conferences like the All Black National Convention and stuff like that. And one thing I didn't finish earlier is I mentioned to you all that the organizations I respect in terms of actually getting results are the National Business League with Dr. Ken Harris and also Traffic Sales and Profit with Lamar Tyler. I've known Lamar Tyler a long time, and he's always been he's been deeply rooted, knee deep in the Black community. And in fact, his first business was called Black and Married with Kids, which is a niche on top of a niche on top of a niche. And I had a lot of respect for him because a lot of people won't even put the word black in their business. When I started the Black Business School, people told me to not call it the Black Business School because they said you're limiting yourself. I said, but I'm black and I care about the black community, and I just kind of ignored it. But I heard what people said, and I probably did limit opportunities. But the truth is, I want to attract who I want to attract. I don't reject white people. I don't tell Asian or Jewish or white people they can't participate. Just like you don't have to be Catholic to go to Notre Dame, but Notre Dame makes it clear that they are a Catholic university. So the same thing is true here. The Black Business School it is built on behalf of the African American community because of what we've been dealing with in terms of wealth. But we work well in the diaspora. We have people that are a part of this all over the world. We have people that are not black that are here, and that's perfectly okay. Like I'll never reject you because you don't look like us. But you have to have respect and you have to understand what the mission is and what the assignment is. But if you want to learn cutting edge economic techniques, that's colorblind. Everybody needs money. Everybody wants to understand their finances. Everybody wants to protect their generational wealth. Everybody wants what's best for their kids. At least they should. And so, if there's something here, there are ideas here that you can benefit from. Sure, that's what my doctorate's in. I'd love to support you. So, here are a few things that you should know about job losses during AI. Number one, according to Goldman Sachs, 300 million jobs are at risk globally due to AI. Number two, 37% of companies have already replaced jobs with AI. I think Amazon just hired its millionth robot. The whole time they keep saying that they're not replacing jobs with AI, but while they're simultaneously replacing jobs with AI. The reason they're not announcing it is because G's move in silence, and Amazon is as gangster as you get when it comes to capitalism, and Jeff Bezos is a nerdy anti-social tech geek who doesn't have any interest in people because people are challenges for him. People they want bathroom breaks. People want pay raises. People want to form labor unions. People complain about working conditions. Robots. Do you know that in China that when they have entire factories run by robots, do you know that those factories, in some of those factories, they don't even turn the lights on. It's completely dark because robots don't need light, let alone bathroom breaks. I mean, they'll work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 2 cents a day and not, and then they don't care that the lights are out. They don't care that there's no lunch area. They don't care. They're not trying to form a labor union. They're just doing their job every day. So ultimately, robots are coming, and so the AI installed in the robots is what's going to also expand the number of jobs that the AI will take. It doesn't mean that there won't be opportunities. It just means you have to adjust. You have to adjust to the new world, right? Also, 70% of video game illustrator jobs were lost in China. So in April, this was a couple years ago, it was reported that 70% of the jobs of video game illustrators in China disappeared due to AI because AI can do an illustration pretty well. Let's see, 4,000 jobs, U.S. jobs were eliminated in a single month in May of 2023. So AI was responsible for getting rid of 4,000. Now they said 4,000 jobs. That's not a big number. So I'm thinking maybe they mean types of jobs like job labels or job assignments. I got to check that, job descriptions. Here is some data on recent college grads. Number one, the unemployment rate for recent college grads has risen to 5.8%. Again, due to AI. A lot of Gen X and boomers don't even like hiring Gen Zs because they don't understand them. And that's unfair, but it's true. The Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, they don't feel like they have the same work ethic. They feel like they're maybe a little entitled. Maybe they're not entitled. Maybe they're just asking for what they actually deserve to have. But either way, a lot of older people just don't want to hire younger people because they don't feel like younger people are reliable. Um, Two, over half of recent college graduates are underemployed. So, in addition to unemployment, there's what they call underemployment. Underemployment is where you're working, but you're not doing the job you want to do, or you're not making the money you should make. You're working part-time when you should be working full-time in an industry you don't want to actually be in. So you technically have a job, but it's not the job you want. So they found that 52% of recent four-year college graduates are underemployed. This is inside higher education, meaning they are working in jobs that do not require a college degree. Even a decade later, 45% remain underemployed. Okay, so these numbers are pretty high. And this includes not just people with bachelor's degrees. I know a lot of PhDs that are underemployed. There are lots of studies. If you go to YouTube and you Google search something like PhDs on welfare, you'll find examples of PhDs that are what they call adjunct professors in obscure fields, maybe like philosophy or English, who literally are making such little money that they have to get food stamps or they're welfare recipients. So this is a real thing. This is a real phenomenon. There's a TED Talk, a really famous TED Talk that a black woman did, where she said that she graduated from Harvard and she was on. I think she said she was on welfare and she had an MBA from Harvard, which was strange. She's not so. Not only was she a Harvard graduate, but she studied business. I didn't get that, and I watched her TED Talk, and it was really interesting. And what it spoke to is that, in my view, and I'm talking specifically about black people because that's what I think about the most. You have to be really creative about how you engage this economy when you're black. I think that sometimes what happens, especially when you go to Harvard and you get these opportunities, is that you forget that you're black. Like you think you're white. And so my first message to people like that would be like, well, you're not white. So you're not going to get the same opportunities as the white guy. They're not going to open the same doors for you that they would for him. You're not going to get the same pay raises, the same whatever. You don't have the same network. And it doesn't mean that being black it doesn't mean that being black means you shouldn't aim for the stars and go for what you deserve or that you don't deserve more. It just means that you're not white. And being white matters. White privilege does exist in white spaces. White privilege exists in white spaces. And white privilege exists in white spaces. I just repeated myself because I need you to understand what I'm about to say next. White privilege exists in white spaces, but black privilege exists in black spaces. Do you agree with that? That if I'm in a black space, I have a privilege that I would not have if I was white. Do we agree? If we agree that white privilege exists in white spaces, do we agree that black privilege can exist in black spaces if you work it right? So the question to me is not, here's the thing. I need y'all to pay attention now. I have a brother that I respect named Dr. Randall Pinkett. Love Randall, great guy, and he wrote a book with a guy named Jeffrey Robinson who is kicking ass. I think this brother is the chancellor of Rutgers or something. They came on my podcast, and I love these. I have so much respect for these guys, and they wrote a book. They wrote one book, I think it was called like White Black Faces in High Places, and another book that was like maybe Black Faces in White Places. And I said, I get it. I understand it. And I love you guys. I love what you wrote. And I respect you immensely. And we love each other. Like this is not a criticism at all. But I said, why don't we talk more about what we really need, which is I don't think we need more black faces in high places or black faces in white places. I think we need more black spaces and maybe more black faces in black spaces. Maybe it's the creation of more black spaces that's the answer to this whole thing. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I didn't sound like I'm hating on these guys, did I? Because I don't want to. I got enough enemies, and I'm not trying to make enemies. I just because I like these. I like Randall and I like Jeffrey. Smart guys, so smart. I mean, he's the chancellor of Rutgers. My God, that's impressive. And Randall was on The Apprentice. So so here's the thing. To me, the mandate, the biggest question that the next generation must answer is how do you create more black spaces? What does that even mean? What does that look like? Like it's a construction project. It's not something where you get to walk into something that's sort of this pre-built institution. So you don't get that luxury of walking into something that someone else built, but you also get the freedom and the power that comes with building something that's built in your image, that's yours. You get to become what I refer to as an economic guide where literally that organization is built in your image. Just like God made man in his image, you get to make the organization in your image. The Black Business School, for example, is a black space where there is a tremendous amount of black privilege, and it was built in our image. The panther behind my head, that's my grandmother Felicia. That's it's built in our image. And so when I'm in that black space, like right now, I'm in a black space. Right now, we built the space. It took thousands of hours and millions of dollars to develop the network around the world. But we built a black space where there is black privilege. And in this space, I don't feel oppressed at all. There's not a lick of oppression that I feel when I'm in a black space that was built by black people that align with my thinking. When I go into Dr. Ken Harris's National Business League, I don't feel oppressed. That's a black space. You can't walk up in there with no white man microaggression, ain't no arrogant white boy, white supremacy, KKK, none of that. You can't walk in with none of that. I walk into my friend Lamar Tyler's space. My wife went down there and she felt incredibly empowered because it was a black space. So maybe instead of us fighting to get into white spaces and then assuming that white spaces are high places, maybe we should assume black spaces are higher places. Maybe getting closer to them doesn't really get you where you want to get to. Maybe getting closer to yourself gets you closer to God. And in fact, some people think that getting closer to whiteness is getting closer to God, when really sometimes that's getting you closer to the devil. Maybe Farrakhan has a point when he says, you know who the devil is, or the enemy, as he calls it now. So I don't consider white spaces to be high places. I consider white spaces to be white places. Maybe they're higher, maybe they're not. I don't know. I know if I was white, I would probably want to be there for sure. But I also know that I live in a country that has a very complex and difficult racial history, such that when I take my black ass into a white space, I'm not going to get treated like a white boy. No, nor do I ever expect that. I don't get shocked by it. It does. It's like, no, that don't. In fact, I'm probably more shocked when you treat me like an equal than I am if you treat me like I'm an outsider, because I know I kind of think I'm an outsider. I am. I kind of am. So the creation of black spaces requires black attention. It requires kind of a decision. You got to make a choice, right? Because you can't be everything to everybody all the time. Like, if I when I married my wife, I chose my wife. I can't marry my wife and then choose another woman at the same time and build a family over here while I'm building a family over there. I'm gonna get diluted. It's gonna be hard, right? The resources are gonna be spread too thin. I chose to build where I stand. And so the same thing is true when it comes to building black spaces or reinforcing white spaces. I think that the goal for black youth that really want to win in this world and truly understand what real power looks like is to put all your energy, all your time into building black spaces. Become economic gods by creating spaces that are in your own image that allow you to be your best self and to be your authentic self and to be rewarded for that. You want to be around people that I'm talking about myself right now, actually, when I compare, for example, working with you versus the wonderful students I taught at Syracuse University. I didn't create that school. I didn't, I don't, that wasn't necessarily my culture. And so they accepted me, they tolerated me, but I realized that it's probably healthier mentally. It's better for my mental health to be in a space where I'm celebrated and not tolerated, where people are gonna love me because of who I am rather than just accept me in spite of who I am. Do you understand? Your blackness is not a liability. Your blackness only becomes a liability when you put it in a space where blackness is not fully understood, nor valued, or appreciated. Welcome to America. Some of you maybe have lived your life as a fish trying to be a racehorse. And even though you're the fastest swimmer in the race, you're getting last place because you're not a horse, you're a fish. So maybe you need to get some knowledge of self and accept the fact that you're a fish and not get mad because you're not as big as the horses and you don't have legs like the horses, and just say, well, okay, I'm a fish. These are horses. I need to go find some water because there's probably some fish out there that have been waiting for you to come back home, but you out here trying to act like a horse. Some of y'all are some fish trying to be horses and you're losing every race. So when I saw that poor lady on that TED Talk who said I went to Harvard and I got an MBA, but yet I'm still broke, I saw a beautiful fish trying to be a racehorse. That's what I saw. But maybe I'm over racializing it. That's where I get in trouble. I don't mean to do that. But really, I'm like, okay, you're a fish trying to be a racehorse because you're obviously smart. You got an MBA from Harvard. Lord Jesus, you can't tell me you don't have any value. You just haven't been able to extract the value. Do you understand? Just because no one's extracted your worth doesn't mean you don't have it. It just means you have to be able to create something in finance. We call this liquidity. Liquidity is the ability to convert assets into cash or to convert it into something that's valuable, to extract the value out of something, right? So you have to be able to extract the value out of who you are. You gotta know, like, look, if you're working hard every day and you're smart and you're determined and you're skilled, you are worthy, but you have to find some way to extract that worth in the way that's going to be relevant for you. And this is why we spend our time seeking jobs, is because nobody ever had that conversation with us. Corporations can extract your value and then they sell it on the market, they make money, then they pay you a piece of that, and that's why we go to the job market. But the ability to create these markets is not something that is only a monopoly that's held by the white man. The white man's not the only one who can take a valuable asset like you and extract the market value from that asset. Do you understand? So the more important skill for a child, in my opinion, is not the ability to prepare for jobs and to seek jobs. It goes deeper. It's the ability to create jobs. It goes deeper to the ability to extract the value out of what they're doing, to really also understand in a broader sense what it means to even utilize that value in a way that matters to you. So I'm not going to keep going into that because I'm going to end up sounding like a philosopher. Maybe it's because I was in Greece. I was in Greece and I was at the Acropolis and I was because the Greeks, they stole all their philosophy and everything from Africa. We know that because we just originated everything. But still, the Acropolis was very impressive, and I was thinking about Plato and Aristotle and all the. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what's making me so think so deeply about it. But I really think that that deep thought helps us to really understand who we are and how worthy we are. Because I'm gonna tell you, the thing that sucks about racism is that racism can really make you feel bad and make you feel worthless. When I've been hit by racism and rejection, you work hard for something, you try to get into a certain space, and they keep rejecting you. And it reminds me when I was 22 and when I finished college. I've told y'all, I was a bad boy in college. I had the highest grade point average of every black person on the entire campus by a long shot. It wasn't even close. I was the Michael Jordan of academics when I was in college. But I went to the University of Kentucky, so not everybody was like a straight A student. And I applied to 250 Wall Street firms. I really wanted to work on Wall Street. That was my dream. And in fact, just to be quite honest with you, back then, before Donald Trump became political, I would have been happy to work at the Trump organization because I read his book. It was called The Art of the Deal. I didn't know 30 years later he was going to run for president and all this other stuff. I just knew he was the billionaire that everybody loved. Oprah loved him. Michael Jackson loved him. All these people loved him. And I even wrote a letter to him, trying to get it, basically get his attention. And none of it worked. I got 250 rejection letters from all these Wall Street firms, and I remember feeling very bad. So like when we were reading that article at the beginning about that college graduate who said she was depressed and sad because she wasn't able to get opportunities, I was like, yeah, I understand that. I understand that. And so the way I think we can protect our kids from the sadness and that depression and those hits to your self-esteem is to teach them how valuable they are and that you have value whether they pick you or not. And when they finally pick you, that does not give you value. Sometimes we think that we're valuable because they picked us. We think we're valuable because they hired us, or because they gave us the promotion, or because they put us on TV. No, you were valuable from the beginning. You should congratulate their dumbasses for finally seeing your value. So when they walk up to you and expect you to be so grateful for giving you the opportunity, you can say thank you for the opportunity, but also congratulations to you for seeing my value because I always knew I was great. I'm glad you're finally realizing that. I'm glad you're not stupid enough to overlook how great I am just because of the color of my skin. So that's I don't sit around waiting to be discovered by white folks. I'm hoping I never get discovered. I've been seen by a few. I've been on national TV and stuff for a long time, but that doesn't matter to me. I don't need you to tell me that I'm a great scholar. I know what I am. I know I'm good at what I know how many thousands of hours I spent doing this stuff. I know how many jumpers I shot in the gym. You ain't got to you're not validating me. You're just seeing something that you should have seen a long time ago, but unfortunately, maybe racism makes it harder for you to see it, and that's okay. That's what it is. It's fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It doesn't bother me at all. You all see me, and that's what matters. And I want to say thank you for that. That means something to me because that's where my heart lives. Okay. So anyway, let's finish up for today. So in case you came in late, I want to mention I'd love for everybody to play the game with us. It's very simple. Basically, what I want to do is I want to have something to brag about. I want to be able to brag about how many millions of dollars we all collectively have invested for ourselves and our families. So I'm going to put a link in the chat, and it'll take you to a form where you don't put your name in it. Just put in make up a nickname, but keep the same name every time we do it though. So make up a nickname for yourself and put a number of the amount of money that you have invested in your stocks, your crypto. Let's not include real estate for now, but any stock investments, crypto investments, 401ks, whatever, add it all up and put an approximate number in there. And then what I'm going to do is look at the spreadsheet, add all the numbers up, and next time we meet, I'll tell you all much wealth, how much generational wealth is being created in this space. So I'm going to share this link with you guys one more time. So feel free to take a look. And I'd love it for everybody to just fill it out really quick. It'll take literally 2 seconds to do. And then secondly, um, don't forget the All Black National Convention's happening August 21st to the 23rd. It's going to be in Atlanta. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. We're gonna try to have a breakout for definitely for the Prime members, those of you that are doing stock options with us, and then also I'm gonna try to do something where everybody from Money in the Morning can get together and we can talk. And at the very least, let me know that you're part of that group, and we'll make some announcements as we get up closer to the date. And in addition to that, last but not least, if you want to get a text alert when we meet for class in the morning. Just text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. And we're going to meet tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. We do this every single day, 7 days a week, because we are serious about our economics, serious about our families, serious about our generational wealth, and serious about being the best. I don't want you playing catch up. I don't want you chasing equality. I don't want you trying to close gaps. I want you to try to win. That's what I need you to do because you're prepared. You got everything you need. I need you to go out there and execute. All right, got it? Give me a yes in the chat if you heard what I'm saying, so I know I did something good today. God bless you.